We all go through changes in life. Some of them we look forward to, like getting married, moving house, welcoming a new little person into the family, and going off to university. And other changes are very difficult to go through, such as losing a job, a breakup, and the loss of a loved one. But how can we manage change in the best possible way? Well, that's our topic today on the UK's only TV show dedicated to mental health and well-being, folks, and I'm your host, Chrissy B. Now, even a perceived good change can cause a person a great deal of stress, as illustrated by my guest today, Fiona Segneir. She decided to come to the UK from Australia with her children for a fresh start. However, it soon became evident that she wasn't coping with the change and went through some serious issues. We're going to break down this subject of change with our resident psychologist, Dr Audrey Tang. We're also going to be looking at some stress-busting nutrition and exercises with our experts Hannah Richards and Natalia Kotowska. Helena Shard is back to talk about the news around this subject in a helping of happy, and Dr Rob Hicks will be answering your medical questions. And we also show you how we got on when we visited Oxywood Primary School to continue with the MHD Challenge tour. However, there's a twist. This time, the children took over the presenting and they did an excellent job. And for those that don't yet know what the MHD Challenge is, it's a dance challenge that I put together to encourage people to fight against depression. For more information about this and how to take part, visit chrissybshow.tv/MHD Challenge. Now, as always, we love to hear from you, our lovely viewers. So if you have anything you'd like to share about change and how it's affected you, do get in touch. You can email us on info@chrissybshow.tv. You can also tweet us at chrissybshow or leave a message on our Facebook page, The Chrissy B Show. Or you can tell us about what you thought of our past episodes too, just like these two viewers who commented on the show we did about narcissistic personality disorder. KK says, other than meeting her husband online, our stories are the same. I wish I knew what love bombing was when I met him. He is now ruining my life. And Nicholas says, it's the love bombing that's such a crucial part of the abuse. It's intense and gets you hooked. They have you hooked from the very beginning. It's so difficult. Well, I really hope, ladies, that you did find that program helpful. So now let's get started with some great insight and advice with our resident psychologist, Dr. Audrey Tang, in this week's Psychology Matters segment. Welcome to the show, Audrey.
Thanks for having me, Chrissy.
So, now, why do people get stressed when there is change, good or bad?
Change is a little bit like a curveball. When we really want a change to happen, it seems to take ages, like when we've got a goal that we want to achieve. Yeah. But when we don't want it to happen, it seems to come straight for us, and that can be a real problem. The first thing in terms of achieving a goal, great. If you've made that change, really try and stick to it, and that's wonderful. However, I'd like to kind of demonstrate why we immediately almost prime our minds to fear change with a little bit of an experiment, which I was hoping you and your viewers will take part in. Yeah. I'm going to count to 10, and all that's going to happen is I want you to change one thing right now. Okay. Just going to count to 10, change one thing. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So hopefully you've all done this as well at home.
Can you see what I've changed?
Yes, taking off your earrings. Yes. Most people, when I've run this before with classes, they will take something off. They associate change with loss. Okay. You could have changed how you were sitting, you could have changed your hair, you could have even put something on. But we often go with taking something away, and that's almost why in our brains we're just, change is bad because we're losing something. Okay. And we've got to remember that change actually isn't all bad, and we in fact deal with changes all the time. We change our phones, we change our hairstyle, hopefully we all change our underwear very regularly. So we are used to changes. It's the changes that we're not expecting that tend to cause us the most grief. Some of the things that we can do to deal with that are to remember that actually coming through change is a natural process, and we grow up, that's changing. We're going to be different to how we were even 5 seconds ago because we've learned something and something else has happened, and that's very positive. Another thing I sometimes ask my classes is, do you find that change just works out for the best, or do you find you have to do something about it? Now, a lot of my classes sit there and go, oh no, it just works out for the best. And there was one student who put her hand up, was very adamant, no, I had to work, and it was very difficult. And actually that's the answer I'm looking for a lot of the time. Change is hard sometimes to navigate, and the fact that you've been able to do it is a real positive, especially when it's unexpected, especially when it's a change you didn't want. Okay. So it's sometimes about changing our mindset to approach change as an opportunity.
Audrey, what if it's a difficult change, something that the person really doesn't want or didn't want to happen, but it has happened? How would you manage that?
Yeah, that's always the hard part. Let's take it back a little bit before the change. Sometimes we do know that change is coming. Yeah. And if we do know perhaps it's something like a child going off to university, or even a relationship that is turning for the worse, you can see it coming. Don't avoid it. Maybe plan for it, actually have something in place. If we just bury our heads in the sand, then not only is the unexpected, it's not really unexpected, but it's going to hit us, but it'll hit us harder because we're almost trying to stay away from it.
And it's not about being pessimistic, is it? It's just about being realistic. Being realistic, exactly.
Absolutely. So plan for it, try not to bury your head in the sand. Another thing that you can do is appreciate all the work that you have done to make changes before, to recognise that actually active change is often better than leaving things to passive chance. And I like those two words because it's just a change of one letter, and you've got this more active taking control over change, and things can and will get better at some point, rather than almost just leaving it to fate where you have no control. And one more thing to remember is not to beat yourself up over a bad decision that caused a change that maybe that you didn't like. When it comes to decision making, you cannot always predict the outcome. So as long as you've done the best that you can do in that circumstance, given the people and the parties involved, then all you can do is learn from that. Yeah. You've done all you can, so don't beat yourself up.
Definitely. Audrey, thank you so much.
Pleasure.
And we'll see you again next week for another topic. Thank you. Now, as we mentioned, a positive change in a person's life can cause a lot of stress. And let's hear from Fiona Segneir in an interview I filmed earlier on how moving from Australia to the UK affected her. Welcome to the show, Fiona.
Thank you so much, Chrissy. It's absolutely a pleasure and an honour. I really appreciate the opportunity to come on.
So you've been through quite a journey, Fiona, haven't you? But can you tell us how things were for you before you started going through your problems, and then what actually happened and that led to certain situations happening in your life?
Of course. Beforehand, I was someone that was very outgoing, and I was used to being in a position where if there's something I wanted, I would work towards it. And you know, outside death, no one else could stop me. God knew. And I would pray and say, you know, help me to do this. And I guess for me, it came to a point for me where I needed to make a decision about either my family, as in my children and my family, or whether my work and the lifestyle that I was living.
Okay.
And for my own reasons, I felt that it was important for my children to know their heritage. So it's important for me for both boys to know about both sides of their family. And so that then became a decision that I made.
Okay.
So I accept it was my decision and it was my choice to do so. So I immigrated. I'm originally born in England, but I immigrated back from Australia back to England, and that was quite a number of years ago. And to be honest, I underestimated exactly the change that it would bring, and also the move and the stress that was involved.
So you could bring your whole family.
Yeah, basically.
So it was like,
So it was myself and it was the two boys.
Yeah.
And I think anyway, as a single parent, adjusting to life when you've been married to becoming single can be a challenge. And I also think that, I mean, just look at how stressed people can get when they're moving house, never mind moving country.
Yeah, it's true, it's very true.
So, and then you're dealing with not just your emotions, you're dealing with others' emotions as well. So, as I said, when I came here, I had almost the belief that it was going to be the same culture, it was going to be the same kind of thing, and I would just come back and slot in. And it worked for a while, and it was okay. However, what I underestimated was the fact that although the culture itself may have been different, it's just the fact that I also had to adapt while helping others to adapt.
Okay.
So what I felt had to be almost be pushed underneath the carpet to make sure that I was able to have the strength that was needed to raise my two boys.
That must have been very hard to do. What did that actually lead to for you?
For me, it led to a period of depression. And it led to a period of me doubting, not understanding the strength that I had. Even though I spoke of a faith in God, I actually started to doubt that He was even big enough. So I say God, some people say the universe, some people say whichever higher power, but for me it became, if I can't do it myself, then who am I?
Yeah.
What am I about? And I guess when I went through that experience, when I experienced that, I look at it now and I think, okay, it was an experience I went through. It sucked. I hated every minute of it. It caused me to question everything I believed. It also taught me, though, that we are not invincible. And it also taught me the importance of knowing how much we should actually value our health, because
Which you weren't looking after at the time? Yeah.
No, I was so busy making sure everything else and everybody else was okay. And because I was so used to looking after myself and I was doing fine, it didn't occur to me that it would ever happen to me. It always happened to somebody else. And that somebody else was in another family. And you would hear about them and everything else. And the fact that it didn't exist in the world that I lived in, it very much came down to, what is wrong with you? Get up and get over it. And it wasn't until that became a reality for me that I realized, oh, well, hang on a second. However, saying that, I'm also grateful and thankful because it was an experience that it brought many people into my journey that wouldn't have been. And through that, and it really has. Like, I've spoken to a gentleman that has owned his own business for so many years. And then that business then went bankrupt. And his whole identity had gone. And the idea of that money, it didn't matter how much it was, it couldn't buy anything back. So all of a sudden, I'm having this conversation with somebody that I would have been having literally at a network breakfast years ago. And we were able to relate, we were able to talk about it. And then we were able to turn around and say, well, let's just be grateful and thankful that we are here, because others that we know hadn't been able to.
That's right, because at the time when you're going through something like that, it can feel like everything, your world is just collapsing.
Absolutely.
And some people literally can't see a way out, unfortunately, and that's what leads to suicide many times, because they think this is it and I can't get myself out of this dark hole. But it's so important to remember that if you open up to someone, you get the right help, there is always hope. You can always change your life. Something interesting that I find about your story, like moving countries, something exciting for people. It's something, people look forward to, but any change, actually, even if it seems like a positive one, can be very stressful. And it's important to also look after yourself in seemingly good times when things are happening, when maybe you've got a new job or something new has come into your life. But it's still important to take care of yourself, because sometimes the stress can creep in without you even realizing it.
I think also, I agree with you, and I would add also, if you are the person that instigates the change, sometimes it's a lot easier to go through. It's easier to adapt.
Yeah.
Whereas for myself, I did choose to make that change. But then once I got here, then I needed to work out, how am I going to navigate this one through? So with my two boys, now the only reason I mention this is because he is inspiring other people, but my son has Asperger's. And as I said, he's inspiring other people, he is going on to make a positive difference. They both are in their own way. Yeah. And yet it was learning how to deal with that as well, without the ability to be able to share it with anyone, because he was too young, and I felt it was a betrayal to talk to anyone else about it. So there was a lot of pent up, I suppose, there was a lot of pent up feelings. However, ordinarily you would have that ability, as you say, to be able to sit down and to speak with someone and to share that. However, for me, what I found was that I was constantly thinking about them when they were younger.
Okay.
And I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change it for the world. I mean, if you ask any mother, ask any single mum, what, you know, the majority of them will say, what is it that is your purpose then, when they are younger? When is it that they need you the most? And again, I'm saying this in the sense of this is what my opinion was. Every family does different things. This is how I chose, and this is how our family did it.
So we'll be watching the second part of Fiona's interview after this break, where she tells us about what she did to get out of the hole that she was in. Welcome back to today's Chrissy B show, everyone. So we've been speaking about change, and before the break, we watched the first part of Fiona Segneir's interview, where a perceived good change moving from Australia back to the UK where she was born caused her to get depressed. Let's watch the rest of her story. How did you come out of that situation, that you were in?
I came out, well, firstly, I ended up going back to Australia for a while. My family, and again, I'm so grateful and thankful and give the credit, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity to be able to say this, because my immediate family, my mum and my sister and a lot of my friends over there, all basically, what's the word, all pinched in, no, what's the word I'm looking for? It will come to me. Everyone came together. Oh, yeah, okay. Everyone came together, and the purpose, what they wanted to be able to do was to then say, we believe in you, we know you can do this. However, they were also honest enough and able to say, it's going to take work, it's going to take effort, and it's going to take everything that you've got inside you. Yeah. Now, my family are believers, they prayed constantly. So I'm very grateful and thankful to God for answering those prayers, and for my family and friends that did pray. How else I came out was by me going there, it allowed me to have a rest. Yeah. So I'm very grateful because of their father that was able to look after the boys, him and his and the lady that he was with at the time. They looked after my boys while I was able to focus on myself and have that rest without feeling guilty. I think the other thing that happens sometimes as women is that you want to be able to be super mum, and you do feel guilty if you don't fulfill that. Yeah,
it's true.
So
but then you look that you're a better mum because of it. You were able to get yourself back on your feet and be the best mum you can be.
Absolutely, and it just taught me so much. It sounds like such a cliche to say, well, I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for what I went through.
But it's true, though.
But it's true. You know, I'm so grateful to the people that gave me the time that made it a challenge, because it gave me the strength I needed. And yet I'm so grateful for those that loved and nurtured, because they were able to be my strength when I was just tired.
Now you've come so far now. You're actually even writing a book, aren't you, Fiona?
Yes,
about
I
your
am.
experiences. Tell us about that as well.
Okay, the book is it's literally, well, it's actually 7 strategies to help those that are suffering early depression and stress. Now, it would appeal to a variety of different audiences, because that it's not just my story, it also involves other people's stories. Okay. It also involves different foods as well that you can eat that will also help. So all of that is included. And then the other strategies that I learned along the way. Okay. So it's a guide.
What's that been like, writing that for you, that experience? Is it your first book, by the way?
It's my first book.
Okay.
It's my first book.
What's it been like?
It's actually been a really, really interesting curve. Because of the fact that when I started writing it, it was originally going to be my story. And then I actually did a lot of volunteer work at Grenfell Tower at the time that it happened. Okay. And all of a sudden, it wasn't about my story. Somebody actually picked up the book. He was in second year of university. He had literally gone through that experience. And the way that I saw it, he was at the beginning. So he was suffering the beginning early depression. So he was due to see a psychologist. He was due to go through that process. And he picked up the manuscript that I'd written, and he said, "Oh my gosh, please don't take it the wrong way. It's too much to take in right now."
All right.
And he dropped it down. And all of a sudden I thought to myself, it's so right. So what I've aimed to do is to write it in such a way that no matter where you are, you can pick it up.
Yeah.
And hopefully, with all respect, relate to it. And I remember when I walked out, I said I wanted to be able to deliver a copy to them. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's what it became about. Yeah. And then along the way, because of the different coaches that I have in my support, support, it's been fantastic, has also been saying, well, what is your legacy? What's your legacy? Mm-hmm. And when I went through what I went through, as we know, that experience of depression, it doesn't just affect one person. Mm-hmm. It affects
very true.
All different areas of your life.
So Fiona, would you ever have imagined back then when you were going through so many problems that you would be writing a book today to help others?
No. I was one of those people that really didn't see a way out. Mm-hmm. And I say this, that when people said to me it's going to be okay, I didn't believe them. Because as much as I saw people say it's going to be okay, the challenge came because I came into contact with other people that had suffered for so much longer. Yeah. And so, as I said, I'm more than grateful and thankful for where I am today. Yeah. And yet I'm also very mindful of what it takes to maintain that. Mm-hmm.
Very good.
So,
guys, that's just proof to everybody, if you are watching now and you are feeling like there's no hope, that your life can't change, that you might as well give up. This is yet another example that we've brought on the show for you today to actually prove to you that there is always hope and your life can definitely change. Never ever give up. Fiona, thank you so much.
Well, do you know what, Chrissy? I would like to say you inspire me because I read about your story. Oh. So as much as you say to me, I am sitting here and I'm an example of never to give up, you put on the show, you inspire people, you speak about what you do. So even beside me, you also are an example and an evidence of never to give up.
Thank you very much to Fiona for sharing her story with us. Well, now it's time to head over to our nutritionist Hannah Richards to show us a stress-busting recipe.
Welcome to the MTS Kitchen. My name's Hannah and today I'm going to show you how to make a really quick, simple and easy breakfast for some brain food. So, we're just going to take 2 avocados, and avocados are your easiest form of fat to get into the body because they're so versatile. You can put them in a salad, you can put them in a sandwich, you can eat them on their own. Inside your avocado pear, you've got your big stone, and all you're going to do is take him out. And it doesn't matter if you get some of the avocado as well because we need to create a little hole for our baked egg that we're going to put in there. People often forget that you can also bake eggs as well. So that's what we're going to do today. So once you've got your 2 avocados scooped out, put them into your baking tray and then take eggs. Now, if you see here, these white eggs are duck eggs and these brown eggs are hen eggs. There's really not a lot of difference other than it's just a bit of variation in your diet. There's a lot of egg white in the eggs and they can overflow the avocado. So let's just crack it into a little dish there. And then the main thing we want is this beautiful yolk. So I'm then going to spoon that yolk in. There we go. Then I've got room to just add some egg white. So they're going to go into the oven now for about 20 minutes on about 180 depending on how efficient your oven is. But I check them at about 10-15 minutes just to make sure, then give them a little longer and pull them out. Then let them rest for about 5 minutes and we're just going to chop some herbs, you could chop some chives on top and they're ready to serve. Slightly different combination, baked eggs and avocado.
Thanks very much to Hannah there. Well, after the break, Natalia Kotowska will be showing us a stress-busting workout, and we also welcome back Dr. Rob Hicks for his regular Doctor's Answers segment. Here are one of the questions we received. I have hay fever, but why does one eye get itchier and water more than the other? Find out what Rob has to say after this break. Welcome back to today's Chrissy B show, everybody. So now it's time to actually take a look at some stress-busting circuit exercises with fitness expert Natalia Kotowska.
Hey guys, it's me, your fitness expert Natalia Kotowska, and can't do it with Nat. And again, I have my lovely assistant today with me, Carlos, and we're gonna do another circuit workout for you today. So again, 3 exercises, high intensity exercises. Let me show you the first one. The first one is called the burpees. So you want to drop your chest all the way down to the floor, jump high up. So don't mistake it with a push-up. You want to drop that chest. So all the way down to your chest. Bring it all the way up, high up. You can raise your hands up or you can just leave them with your body. So again, drop your chest all the way up. Second one, we're gonna go for fast feet. So if you ever seen American football, that's what I want you to picture it. So you go nice and low, hold your hands up, arch your booty, and you're gonna go fast feet in a spot. So from the side position, you hit as fast as you can. Yeah, we're gonna go for 10 seconds or 10 cuts. And the last one, hard one too, air squat with the jump, tapping your feet in the air. So let me show it to you. All the way down, tap, land, all the way up, land, open your chest, sit, breathe, hop, hop. So, Carlos, we're gonna go for 10 each again. 10 burpees, 10 fast feet, 10 air squats. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
He's ready. You better be ready too. We're gonna go in 3, 2, 1, let's go. 1, that's right, all the way up. Hop, 2, drop that chest. That's right, let's go. 3, come on, come on, come on. Faster than that. 4, let's go, that's right. 5 more, let's go, drop that chest all the way up. 6, let's go, 7, that's right. 8, drop that chest. 9, come on, come on, come on, come on. And last one, 10 points, let's go, all the way down, last one. 10, right away, fast feet, let's go, Carlos. 1, 2, 3, 4, breathe, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, air squats with the tap. 1, let's go, 2, that's right. 3, it's okay to struggle, it's not okay to quit. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, last one, 10. Good job, breathe, breathe, breathe. Again, set yourself as targets. So maybe 2 minutes long or 3 minutes long. AMRAP, as many rounds as possible. And do it in a cycle. 3 exercises, 10 each, 3 minutes long. That's the challenge, guys. So let's see how you can do it with that. How are you feeling, Carlos?
Tired.
Tired. Out of breath. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Carlos, for being here and working out with us.
It's a pleasure.
See you next time.
Thank you very much to Natalia there. And now it's time to go over to Dr. Rob Hicks in this week's Doctor's Answers. Welcome to the show, Rob.
Hi, Chris. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I've been keeping busy.
Oh, that's good.
Yes.
And are you taking breaks though?
I am.
Regular breaks?
Yeah, regular breaks. You've got to, haven't you? Otherwise you can't concentrate.
You do, you do.
Yeah.
Let's go to the first question, Rob. So I have hay fever. It's not too bad, but my eyes can get pretty irritated. However, my left eye seems to get affected more than my right eye. It gets extremely itchy and watery at times. Why is one eye affected more than the other? Interesting
You know
question.
what? This is a really common problem.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
It's quite normal with hay fever for one eye to be affected more than the other, and nobody really knows exactly why, but one of the possible reasons is that once an eye starts becoming itchy, you rub it, and what that does is that breaks down cells called mast cells, which release a chemical called histamine, and it's the histamine that causes the watering and the irritation and the redness. So if you've got one of your eyes is more irritated, the chances are you're more likely to rub that eye, and you get into a vicious cycle where things just getting worse and worse and worse. So the things to do, whether it's one eye or both, obviously do your best to avoid pollen as best you can. You can use eye drops, to relieve the symptoms, but also prevent the symptoms as well. And you can get those from your pharmacist. Your pharmacist may recommend an eye wash as well, which will help to rinse the eyes and soothe them, and indeed get rid of some of the pollen. Remember, it's the pollen that actually triggers the allergic reaction. It's often a case that when people have got the nose symptoms related to hay fever, so the bunged up feeling, the sneezing, sometimes the running as well, is that manifests itself back up in the eye as well. So the inflammation travels upwards. So it might be that you've got symptoms on one side of the nose, which is the reason why you're getting the symptoms on that side of the face with your eye as well. But it's why it's important also to use a nasal spray to relieve the symptoms and prevent the symptoms of hay fever. Maybe consider using a nasal barrier balm. It's something that is like a gel that you smear around the inside of the nostrils, actually to catch the pollen before the pollen can get into the nose and cause the symptoms. And the other thing I would suggest that you do is have a checkup with your doctor to make sure that it is the hay fever that's causing the symptom, and that you haven't actually got an eye infection, and that's why one eye is causing more irritation than the other one. So those are the sort of things I'd recommend for you.
Brilliant. Next question, Rob. I've managed to get sick 3 times within the space of 5 weeks. Each time I get sick, I have flu symptoms, the usual headaches, fever, coughing, etc., and they go after a few days, and I feel perfectly fine. Could this be the same virus I've had all this time, and then it just hides for a while and comes back?
Well, anything is possible, but it's unlikely to be the same virus. What it's more likely to be is that actually you get over one infection, you're on your road to recovery, but then your immune system isn't quite fully up to speed, and therefore you pick up another one, and so you go down with the next symptom. So it's more likely to be recurrent different viruses causing your symptoms, or it could in fact be the fact that your body is a bit run down and you're picking up a bacterial infection, which again your body is partly fighting. So you feel a lot better, but then of course it hasn't completely gone, and that's why you get the symptoms again. What I would suggest very strongly is because this has gone on for a long time and it's recurrent, that you pop along to your doctor and have a checkup. Let your doctor ask you some more about your specific symptoms. Let your doctor examine you, so for example listening to your chest, and I suspect your doctor will want to run some blood tests to look for levels of infection, for example, and maybe run a chest x-ray to make sure that there isn't a sort of low-grade infection that's brewing there but never quite clearing. So those are the sorts of things that it could be, and that's what I think you should do.
Okay, brilliant. And last question for today, Rob. I can only seem to breathe comfortably on one side. My left nostril is always blocked, and I feel very restricted not being able to turn over. However, it's strange because come morning time, I can turn and breathe on the other side. Why is this, and is there anything I can do about this problem?
This baffled me for years, this problem, because I had it as well. And a little bit of research, and scientists have identified what the issue is with this. It's actually normal for, during the day, course of the day, for one nostril to close down and the other one to remain open, working. And it's thought that improves our sense of smell, but it also helps protect the nostrils from becoming too dried out and too irritated by breathing in and out and the scents, etc. So that you don't get the damage to the hair cells that line, or the hairs that line the nose, that cleanse the nose and cleanse the air that we breathe in. And what's fascinating is that this cycle is called the nasal cycle, and it happens every few hours, maybe even up to every 6 hours. So this is a normal phenomena. And what happens to close that is that there's increased blood flow to the nose, and it works in the same way as when a man gets an erection. So it actually causes the swelling, which closes down that actual nostril on the one side. And of course it switches over and closes the other one. What's fascinating is that not only is this normal and happening, just regularly throughout the day, but when you are unwell with a virus or an allergy, that congestion feels worse, and that's when you notice it. And it's even worse if you're lying down, particularly if your head's on one side. So the key thing to get over this is to treat the underlying problem, the virus or indeed the allergy, and recognise that this is a normal phenomena that you can overcome, and you shouldn't be too worried about it.
Okay, brilliant. Rob, thank you so much.
My pleasure, as
and
always.
We shall see you again next time.
Indeed.
And for more
Doctor's Answers.
Doctor's Answers. What's the email address, by the way, even though it's been up on the screen the whole time, but let's see.
Well, let's hope I've remembered. It's doctor@chrissybshow.tv.
Thank you so much. Well, everybody, after the break, we have on Helena Shard with the news, and we also show you how we got on when we visited Oxywood Primary School to continue with the MHD Challenge tour. But this time, the children took over the presenting. And for those of you who don't yet know what the MHD Challenge is, it's a dance challenge that I put together to encourage people to fight against depression. Welcome back to the Chrissy B Show, everyone, where today we've covered the topic of coping with change. And if you just joined us and missed all the tips and advice, don't worry, you can head over to our YouTube channel, Chrissy B Show, tomorrow and watch the show from the start there. But now it's time to take a look at our visit to Oxywood Primary School.
And I'm a Leo. And today we're at Oxywood Primary School to do the MHD Challenge.
What I'm going to say is very important now. Okay, so I'd like you to all really pay attention, because this is the whole point why I actually put the dance together. Okay, because I went through some really serious problems in my life when I was young, and I felt very down. I felt very depressed. I was very, very scared at night. So at night, when I would actually go to my bedroom, I was afraid to switch off the lights. So I had so many bad feelings, and I had so many worries, and I didn't know where it came from. And at the time, actually, I really did think that I was the only person that was going through those kind of feelings. But then I eventually, because I opened up to my mom and I started this journey of looking for help, eventually I found help. I was able to speak about what I was going through. I wasn't judged. I wasn't told I was weird. I didn't lose the people that I loved. All those thoughts were just in my head. All those worries were just there, making me not want to speak. But as soon as I spoke up, as soon as I got help, within a very short space of time, I recovered. And today I'm really happy. I have a great life. I don't have those worries. I'm not afraid anymore. I'm not afraid of the dark anymore. All those problems that I had before have all gone. All right? And this is why it's very, very important that if you are feeling bad about something, maybe there's something that's on your mind, something that's worrying you, something that causes you to have nightmares, or you don't sleep properly, it's very, very important that you speak to someone that you trust. Remember inside, I am strong and I will make it. Say, I am strong? I am strong. Yes, you are. Brilliant.
Oxywood, are you ready? Yeah! Are you strong? Yeah! Miss Captain to ask a few questions. Why do you think it's important to speak to children about mental health?
I think it's important because it's something that concerns everyone. It's really important we teach children to be resilient, to have the skills they need to grow up in the world.
What did you think of the MHD challenge when you first heard of it?
I think it's excellent. I think anything that raises the profile of mental health and gets us talking about it is a really positive thing.
How do you think you're going to continue to use the MHD challenge to talk about mental health?
I think it's a really good conversation starter, and it sort of raises the profile of mental health, and hopefully everyone who's here today can go home and talk to their families about what they've done today, and the conversation can continue.
How do you think everyone did today with the dance?
I thought they were super. Everyone did really well.
Now that we've experienced our wonderful dance, let's hope that everyone has learnt to stop bottling their feelings and then they can always talk to someone. Why do you think it's important to talk about your problems?
Because once we have done the mental health dance, it can make us like forget all the bad things we have been through.
Because when you keep all your feelings to yourself, then it makes you feel like the whole world's against you and you don't feel happy. What would you do if you had a worry? Who would you speak to?
I will speak to my parents. I will speak to my family members.
What did you think of the dance when you first heard of it?
I thought it was going to be amazing.
First of all, thank you for coming to our school. No problem. And why do you come to schools instead of anywhere else to show about mental health?
I think it's really, really important to actually bring these kind of things to schools, because I know nowadays there's a lot of children that are actually going through a lot of problems, and sometimes they feel like they shouldn't talk to people, that sometimes they're afraid to actually open up and discuss what they're feeling. So with this mental health dance challenge that myself and Sharon are bringing to the schools, we like to encourage students to open up if they are going through any problem, and let them know that it's okay to talk, that it's okay if you're going through a problem. It's nothing to be ashamed of, but it's just to get the right help, that's all.
Do you feel like you've helped a lot of people whilst doing this dance?
Yes, I like to think so. From the feedback that we've got, it has helped a lot of people, and we're still going, we're still doing the tour around schools in different places, so I hope this will continue for a long time.
Why do you think it's important to bring mental health things and challenges into schools like this?
Well, I think schools are a great place to be, but they can also be a very scary place to be as a young person. And there's lots of expectations around all of us to do well. And so bringing the dance challenge into the school, I think, gives everybody the opportunity to have a think about who they could talk to if they were worried, and also gives people the opportunity that if they are actually worried right now, that yes, I'm going to go and speak to somebody.
Well, everyone, it's with great pleasure that I present the official MHD Challenge Certificate of Completion to Oxywood Primary School.
Hope you enjoyed watching this,
because we tried really hard to entertain you guys.
Back to Chrissy in the studio.
So for more information about the MHD Challenge Tour and how to take part, do visit chrissybshow.tv/MHD Challenge. Well, now it's time to speak to Helena Shard with this week's A Helping of Happy. Welcome to the show, Helena.
Thank you, Chrissy. So I'm going to start off with Eve Gibney, an NHS nurse from Merseyside. Anyway, she turned into a detective and she did make a fairly awful discovery. But this is all about change. So anyway, so she'd been married for 17 years, relatively happy. I say relatively. Not such a conventional relationship in the end because her husband was working away quite a bit in Oman. But in 2011, he went to Oman and stayed there quite often, and she realised his behaviour began to change. Anyway, she became a detective. He only used to come back in short bursts. He then said he was suffering from depression, but used that as a tool, really, as to not come back. Basically, life unravelled through a hire firm company, and there was another address in sort of Merseyside, which was not too far from where she lives, and he'd got married. Oh, so a bigamist. Cheeky weeky, but you know, her life obviously came crashing down because also had 2 teenage sons with him. It was just harrowing for her to pick the pieces up, but you know, had to go through this huge web of deceit because there was family involved, and it's just so tricky. But she rebuilt her life. She's actually grateful that he is now out of their lives, and she has moved on and found a really lovely guy who gets on very well with her teenage sons, which is the main thing. But that change was good, absolutely, but quite harrowing. Moving on to Dame Kelly Holmes, actually amazing. We have discussed her previously, but I follow her on Instagram, and she's very, you know, a lot of get up and go. But interesting to read about what she always joins in, like there's a join in June, I think join in July. She goes to different groups, different fitness groups, and joins in. So basically lots of normal people there, and they're really excited that she turns up because it makes everyone really inspired. And actually she's got a charity as well where she helps young people get back on track by using world-class athletes to, you know, empower them, etc. So it sort of goes hand in hand. But it was quite interesting that she joined at a unique physique, so an ex-Marine who was absolutely brilliant, a brilliant class, but she was paired with a young man called Lee, who she was working with. And the good thing is that he had committed himself to the change, and in those few weeks lost the most incredible amount of weight. I was so happy. So really lovely story. Yes, congratulations to Lee. I don't know if everyone's heard, Syrian girl pictured recently in Aleppo, and she had tin cans as prosthetic legs. Anyway, lots of pictures. A Turkish man who basically makes prosthetic legs has said that he will help her, which is lovely. It's a rare condition, a congenital condition, that her father's got it as well. But the funny thing about it is it's great, and it's going to work, it absolutely will work. But she was so fearful to begin with that she didn't want it. She got so used to her legs really as they were, just sort of dragging herself around, that she didn't want that change. And they've obviously spoken to her, and she's sort of had therapy, but now she's looking forward to it. But it's just that's
the kind of things people get used to. Just comfortable.
I mean, she's 8 years old, so it's going to make an amazing change to her life. So that's quite a little fun story. And I'm going to just end on a funny one, which actually came about by talking to a friend. Actually, funny is probably not the right word to say, but a young man called Mark, and he was actually adopted. But at the age of 22, he lost his hair. But actually it was a good thing that happened to him, because prior to that he was quite cocky, he a womanizer, everything about him, he sort of viewed himself externally as the bee's knees. When he lost his hair, he was horrified, but it made him communicate more. He would have gone down the wrong path, actually, in his words, but he in fact formed great friendships and bonds and actually discussed things. And it's really just good. All about losing his hair. And the irony is he was adopted, and his adopted parents had great big thick head of hair, so he was like quite shocked. But it's amazing how
it's good that it had a good effect on him.
A positive effect. And all his friends say as well, it happened at a good time, as much as it upset him at the time. Now can look back and laugh. But he's happily married and settled, and that possibly
changed his ways.
Changed his ways.
Excellent. Lovely one to end on, Helena. Thank you so much. And we shall see you again next time.
Absolutely. Look forward to it. Thank you.
Well, everybody, now it's time to go to my final thought for the day. Well, everyone, I hope you found today's program useful, and I hope it's helping you to make some changes in your life that maybe you've been kind of avoiding. So as we see, change many times is inevitable, and sometimes when we do try to stay in our comfort zone, what tends to happen with time, things around us change anyway. So we may try to kind of keep things going the same way, but then if we don't kind of move with the times and see what's going on, things around us change, so we're kind of forced into change anyway many times. But I've had to change many things in my life. Some of those changes I would say I didn't want to happen. Other changes I instigated myself, and though I've made mistakes and though some things I felt like I wasn't ready for, I found a way of actually finding the positive in every situation, and that's the trick sometimes. As we've heard, there are changes that aren't nice that happen to us, things that, you know, go wrong, family members that we lose, friendships that, you know, break down. There's so many changes that we maybe weren't expecting and that are seemingly negative, but the trick is, what can we learn from those situations? What positive outcome can come from these kind of things? I've interviewed many people and spoken to different people who, for example, have been made redundant or they lost a job. Now, they could have seen that in two ways, and some of them did actually go through really difficult times and even get depressed, but eventually they saw that time as an opportunity, and they went on to, for example, start their own business that's really successful today. They've even moved country. There's so many different things that people have done, and it's actually worked out well for them. But the reason it's worked out well is because they eventually embraced that change and decided to actually go with it and do something from what happened. However, if they'd continued wallowing and feeling down about it and saying to themselves, why did this happen? Why couldn't things stay the same? They would have been stuck and things would have just got worse. So if a change is, I would say, imposed on you, or if it's a change that you decide to make for yourself, look for the positives in everything and always find something to learn from there as well. Well, everyone, we have reached the end of today's program, but as always, if you have a story that you would like to share, please do get in touch with us. We'd love to hear from you. You can email us on info@chrissybshow.tv. You can also tweet or Instagram us @ChrissyBShow, or leave a message on our Facebook page, The Chrissy B Show. And if you'd like to know more about my mental health journey and about the issues that I had in the past, but beat completely, you can visit my personal website, which is mylifeafterdepression.com. Until next time, bye-bye for now.